And he isn't the only one got caught with that. You also saw Paul Tracy as he tried to hold off DeFerrin. He couldn't. Now he's trying to hold off Rahal and can't. So Bobby Rahal comes up into third place.
He looks like he's got a problem because he's sliding wide at a lot of corners there. And Paul's obviously having some kind of difficulty to drop 2 spots in a half a lap.
Now let me correct that. DeFerrin moved to third. Rahal moved to fourth. Tracy's down to fifth. Still Christian Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti at the front. Interval is 3 seconds between the first 2 cars. Penske teammates running together. A couple of years ago when Paul Tracy won here, part of the trip to the checkered flag involved touching the back of Little Al's car and sending him off into the tires.
Right at that corner where they are right now. He tapped him right there, and Little Al went straight.
It was a tense afternoon, to say the least.
I think so.
A sedate winner's circle.
Paul Tracy in the lead car there is obviously holding on, but it's unlike somebody like Paul Tracy running that far up to lose 2 spots in half a lap.
But once he fell back here into 5th place, seems like that's about where he's locked. Jerry Punch, do you have any idea why Tracy dropped back like that?
Well, Paul, we talked to Nigel Beresford, the engineer for Paul Tracy, and Chuck Sprague are standing here on the wall side by side. They're sort of mystified, too. Paul hasn't said anything on the radio as far as a problem with the car. They're watching the monitors. They saw him lose a couple of spots. Now the car is picked back up to speed and apparently is running okay. So they're not really sure what happened to Paul Tracy.
Well, I wonder if he just got some, got out there wide at one corner and got the tires damp, and he just couldn't hold on. You know, it's awful competitive up there at the front. Those guys just took advantage of it.
Looking down from the Honda Helicam, the continuing fight between Al Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy as they battle over 5th place. And you can see the crowd indeed did stay here. Got to give the race fan a lot of credit. That brings them turning back east along the pit straight. Tracy has now been maintaining the lap time that he was earlier. So whatever it was transient and temporary.
But it sure cost him a couple of spots.
It did cost him 2 spots just right now. DeFerrin has stabilized in his position about 8 seconds back. There he is from Michael Andretti. You know, we had a meeting with some of the drivers yesterday. DeFerrin was saying a very interesting thing, coming from Formula One, and with some rumor that he may in fact be going back. One of the reasons that drivers like Jackie Stewart, former world champion, is here looking at a new Formula One team. He's very, very tight with DeFerrin, but DeFerrin thinks that this series is more competitive than anything else in the world right now.
Well, you've got to have, when you have a series that you've got 22 cars covered by 1 second with some very good guys in there, and it's changing every week, it's got to be the most competitive. The problem if you go to Formula One, if you're not in one of the top teams over there, you stand very little chance of having any success.
I certainly agree with the action on the Indy cars. Very, very competitive. DeFerrin, as he continues to work around. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, during that same meeting, this driver, Roberto Moreno, said, hey, guys, what do you do if you don't have a PR guy to tell you about your sponsored data control? I said, don't worry about it. If you do well, we'll talk about it. I didn't want to have to talk about it about you not doing well. What happened, Roberto?
Only you can make me smile now. Basically, we were running very well. We did a good strategy. Basically, we had to run on the wet, very careful, so we wouldn't go off. some guys gave me a hard time to pass him, one of the Ganassi cars. I let one of the Goodyear guys go by, they were faster, and they gave him a hard time, and I follow it. So it worked very well. The dry came, we made a good change, and the car was very fast. Unfortunately, the exhaust pipe broke. The exhaust headers broke, and the car sort of got very hot. We had to give up for the day. But nevertheless, we'll be there next race.
He's had a podium finish already, guys. Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Andre Ribeiro's Honda-powered Lola back in the paddock area. Andre, what happened out there?
Well, I had an incident with Greg Moore, so we lost a couple of laps. Back to the track with new tires and dry tires. The car was quite positive, and I was having problems with the rear. So I finished touching the wall, and with damaged suspension, we had to stop.
Well, the winner from Rio, Paul, won't get number 2 here today.
Punch and Jill DeFerrin, who started 7th, now runs in 3rd place. And looking back, there is Bobby Rahal chasing DeFerrin. Now looking for Paul Tracy and Al Unser Jr. There they are. And just a few moments ago, this was Paul Tracy.
Oh, see, he got up in that wet, and he just brushed that wall, but Paul's not going to slow down. He's lucky he hit it pretty flush. What you just hope is it didn't break a wheel or anything like that. But he got, did you see him? He got over that damp and just slid him right up to the wall.
Being on the wet, as we're looking back now, is Paul Tracy closing in. Won't be a fight for position. It's from Jimmy Vasser's car, who is well down in the field right now.
That shows a real professional there. He's out of the hunt. He's not going to hold him up.
Jimmy Vasser is running 14th. That is out of the points. And remember, not so long ago, we were talking about how Al Unser Jr. is keeping track of those with Roger Penske. And what an advantage this is going to give Little Al as he closes from 2nd in the points fight on Vasser. There's the drag race. Down. And Little Al gets around him. Whoa, Little Al now.
Oh, Little Al right in the wall. It was too damp. Oh.
And so much for the points.
Oh.
As Little Al tried to get around, it was too damp. Almost took his teammate with him. And he's going to unbuckle and get out of the car. So, well, if Jimmy Vasser now moves up 1 position because of that, 1 more, he'll get a single point for 12th, Danny.
See, Paul was a little slow coming out of that corner. He got on that damp, locked up a wheel, got on the damp on the outside, and just slid out. There's a guy that is very frustrated. He knew he threw that one away.
Al Unser Jr. climbs up over the tire wall to get out of harm's way. They'll have to get his car out of the tire barrier, and I suspect that may mean a full course caution.
They'll have to go full course yellow on this one. It's in a bad spot. He can't just back it out. They couldn't put a tow truck out there and just pull it out. They'll have to go full course yellow.
Al Unser Jr. and Jimmy Vasser, the only 2 drivers to finish every race in the points this year. Well, that changes now for Little Al. Will Vasser be able to get into the points? So if they go full course, then that's going to work to some advantage as we are full course caution now. They're laid out for the leader, Christian Fittipaldi.
I think at this stage, Paul, you're going to have to see everybody pit, change for tires and fuel, because they can get to the distance. It's under a yellow. They can get in and out.
Might as well. We're listening to Michael Andretti's radio now.
Copy, no changes.
So there's Michael Andretti as he chases Christian, his teammate, just ahead. Well, it's not really a chase since it's under yellow. Jerry Punch, here they come.
We're ready. We're ready.
Jack Arute?
Yeah, we're watching both Michael Andretti. You heard Lee White tell him that there were no changes.
Zero your fuel. Get your revs up.
Get your revs up. Meanwhile, Christian Fittipaldi, the work going there. No changes on his teammate, Christian Fittipaldi. He's away first. Fittipaldi goes down. Michael Andretti follows him.
Hey, watch your speed. Watch your speed, Mike.
And that's the most important point. Watch your speed. There is a speed limit, and pit road has dried up.
Well, it still looks a little damp, but it's dry there at the exit for sure.
Well, even if it is dry, those are cold tires. You don't want to come out of there too hot. 60-mile-an-hour speed limit in the pits, Jerry Punch.
Well, Joe DeFerrin just made a pit stop, changed 4 tires. Now Paul Tracy farther down pit road. They're making an adjustment on the car. He has a severe understeer, complaining of understeer, and now Tracy puts it back in gear, spins the tires, and pulls the Marlboro Penske away.
So on the 40th lap, 77 laps the scheduled distance, 47th lap, they make a stop. Most of the cars in this field.
You know, it's one thing to work on your race car back at your home shop, but did you ever wonder what race teams do when they come to the individual race events? Well, they set up camp and have everything at their fingertips. The first thing the team does when they park their tractor trailer in the paddock area, unload the cars from this area high above me. Now, each trailer can carry 2 cars. Little service bays for each of the individual engineers to work on specific components of the car. Behind these cabinets here, all the body parts and carbon fiber that you might need to repair a car should it be involved in an accident. Further up, well, each team will carry a computerized shock dynamometer that can give them the exacting readouts necessary to have optimum performance from the shock absorbers. Radio communication right here on board in the trailer. If you need to heat up a cup of coffee for a late night, well, the crew can do it right in the microwave. A cleaning area and maintenance area, complete with air, drill press, grinders. It's all here. Underneath is literally every bit, piece, and part that you might need to work on the race car. Then further up is a mobile office area where engineers and the driver can get together after each practice session, read out the telemetry, and discuss it. There's also an onboard weather station to be able to dial in the performance of each and every one of these engines. But there's also another very important area that's dedicated to the driver. Not the driver of the race car, the driver of the tractor-trailer rig. Now, he crisscrosses America so many times that he has to have a lot of amenities. Right behind the driving area, well, he's got a bedroom area set up for himself, complete with TV, VCR, and refrigerator. Up front, state-of-the-art communication system so that he can stay abreast of what's happening in front of him and back at the shop. Now, why does he need all this stuff? Well, consider the fact that he's on the road for almost 250,000 miles a year, and he carries almost $2 million worth of inventory.
Still under the full course caution, the Formula One circuit will take to the streets of Montreal. It's the Grand Prix of Canada next Sunday afternoon. That's at 12:50 Eastern, only on ESPN2. A lot of those Formula One drivers have come here to Belle Isle, Detroit, to see what IndyCar racing is all about. We saw Jackie Stewart, former world champion. His son Paul is here. Johnny Herbert's here. Jacques Villeneuve came back to visit his old friends at IndyCar. So they're here taking a look at it. Maybe negotiating a little?
Well, I don't know. I don't think Jacques is, but, you know, I think they're just looking to see. They've got, of course, Montreal next weekend, and they want to see what it's all about while these guys are coming over here having great racing and a lot of fun.
There's Adrian Fernandez, who's up much further in the field at the starts, falling backwards, but then working his way forward. And here's what I wonder, Danny Sullivan. Timed races. We haven't seen one since a year ago at Miami, but with all of the yellows and with the rain, IndyCar does have a rule that they can invoke and will invoke that says it can be a 2-hour race. Seems like we're getting pretty close to that.
We are. We're going to come to that, I think, before we are the finish of the race.
Jack Arute, what do you think?
Well, Paul, the crews have not been informed by IndyCar that there's any change from the 77 laps, the advertised distance, but they have made the determination themselves, they being Newman Haas. They've radioed to their drivers, forget the laps, we're talking minutes. About 2 minutes ago, they radioed and said 38 minutes to go, 38 minutes to go. So for your lead team right now, they're thinking in terms of minutes. They're not going to wait for CART to come over and tell them whether it's going to be laps or time.
And Jack, either way, there's enough fuel.
Absolutely, and I think that might be kind of the strategy or the tactic as well. Get your driver to stop thinking about fuel. We got plenty on line, and let's not talk about laps. Let's talk about trying to keep out front for the time involved, because either way that it goes, we're looking just about the same amount of time, whether it's laps or minutes. Who cares right now, Danny, as a driver? You just want to be kept pumped up, don't you?
Well, you do, and I don't think that's going to be a concern whether it's 74, 75 laps, or 77. Right now, they got enough fuel to go race, and they got it turned up. They just got to worry about who they're racing with. And don't forget, I don't think IndyCar's got to come tell them. It's 2 hours or 77 laps, whichever comes first.